we have the 3 R's at this school. We have rigor, relevance, and relationships. We have the 4th R, which is respect. And that relationships also deal with rapport. Now, if you want to know the definition of rapport, it's the relationship I have with my students. Okay? I think that's the most important thing. And in order for you to be, quote, less boring, which we'll talk about in a second, if you don't know your students, you don't have them. And a lot of times when new students come in, and they come in, being scared, and they're coming from another school, doing whatever, okay, I try to reach out to them because usually I'm probably the first person in the whole entire class that's done so. And I tell them, hey, what's going on? How is your upbringing? What can I do? So on and so forth. I promise you this. If you get to know them, they're going to work for you. Okay. So how do I build rapport? Well, first off, you got to know your audience. I pretty much know most of you guys here. So I'm more comfortable with them. Now, if I see a bunch of students, like little kids, yeah, I'll just say here, there's a diaper change station. Go over there if you need it. The pee station's over there. Go, good luck. I can't do little kids. Oh no. College students, probably more towards my area because sometimes they reflect back to me. But basically, what I want you to understand, you have to know your audience. Okay. When is a good time to bring up this joke? If I bring up something about imaginary numbers and you're in English class, yeah, that's not going to fly very well. But if I bring up something about what's happening in the news and I bring it to little kids who are just 3 and 4 years old, that's not going to work out. So obviously, you got to know your audience. So when you build that relationship, you got to know when it's time to be serious. I got to know when it's time to be relaxed. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Right now, I feel really relaxed. I'd probably have a conversation with you right now, Emily, if I wanted to. Because I know where, I look at time. And when I look at time, I make sure that I have enough time to cover my material still when I'm able to, have a conversation here or there. So, in order to make yourself have a better class, so to speak, involve the class into it. Okay? It's kind of boring when everybody's just staring at me and 15 minutes in, 16 minutes in, and I'm still talking because I want to hear myself speak. To me, that doesn't work out for me. I can't do that. And I want you to understand that if you ever bring in yourself a lesson, I wouldn't suggest that to unless they really, really, really want to listen to you speak. Okay? But when it's time to business, when it's time for business here, go to that route. Make sure it's serious. Make sure you're ready to get through the lesson. If you have any questions, boom, boom, boom. All right? And I want you to understand we're all human too. So how did my Longhorns play yesterday? And then somehow some student will get me off that tangent, and it will happen. And I will be mad because, David Ash did a really bad throw, and then all of a sudden that Texas lost because of that bad throw. Yeah, I'll start, getting a little angry. You have to understand I love football, and I can talk about football for hours. But that can't happen. Know when to relax and know when to be serious. I know my lesson is going to be about 30, 40 minutes long. I got that 15 minutes. If we're teaching bell to bell, I got the 15 minutes to make sure the students feel comfortable. And that's another reason why I do that. I don't do that just because obviously I'm ADD. That's true. But more seriously, in fact, the reason why I do that is because I want you to understand, and I want the students to understand, I'm also human too. Okay? I do like to do other stuff. I like to go ahead and watch sports. I like to go ahead and have a good time. Okay? I like to go out to eat. I want to see how you're doing over the weekend. Emily, how's your job at Papa John's? Hope it's going well right now. I want to build that relationship because if you can build that relationship, everything's going to fall into place. All right? And of course, you got your jokes. Bring your jokes in there, But when it's time to teach the actual lesson, after you build the rapport, make sure it's consistent. When you're teaching a lesson, this is the time frame I kind of like to follow. And I know I'm a math teacher, and I'm sorry, I'm very time-oriented. 52 minutes is not a lot. So I got a 5-minute warm-up or 5-minute time for question and answers for homework. Okay? And then additional 10 minutes for any questions you guys have on your homework. When I issue a homework question, now I'm not saying this is less boring, but I've got to take care of business first. This is my first 15 minutes of straight business. Okay? You better make sure you sit down, and you better make sure you do your assignment, and you better make sure you check your assignment and your homework. Okay? That's straight, that's non-negotiable, that's all serious. Okay? And like I said, there's no reason for me to issue a homework assignment without me doing it. That's not fair. Okay? Then it comes about 35 or 40 minutes for a lesson. And I'll present something new, throw in a joke. How are you doing? How's your mom doing? How's your mom's mom doing? You know. If you want to think of it this way, and make sure it's consistency, and then you got 2 minutes of downtime. I used to be in sales, believe it or not. I know it's kind of hard to believe. But the way I usually close a sale is to make sure I know my student, or make sure I know my client. And if I can do that, everything will fall into its place. Okay. And then I got 2 minutes of downtime. Any final questions you guys have for me? If so, we're good to go and go on to the next class. So I like to incorporate some comic relief. This is the time when I teach my lesson, is I'll incorporate some comic relief. Make sure you don't get the kids involved. Now, if we're having a Texas versus a Texas A&M fight, that's going to go on for a little longer than normal, but you got to know when to stop. Okay. I know it's kind of hard for me too. So when I say comic relief, okay, I think of Ben Stein. Ever seen this movie? Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Oh, yes.
Bueller. I can't stand that. His monotone voice drives me nuts. But then occasionally, once in a while, when I do the comic relief, I do with this here. Nice little cats, I need a complete silence when I'm saying this well. Or when I teach something math. That's when I just... Students like some relief, something comical. This is when I teach when it's undefined, I teach it heaven over hell, and that's the way I just teach it. I know Mr. Kahn teaches no and okay. I hear the students tell me that too as well. And, well, I don't show this poster. Okay, well... We can fill in the second word, but I make sure that you understand what that means. And I want you to understand when you teach something, it goes into point C. And of course, I like to bring some comic relief. And why? Because I want to make sure that you understand that, if I can hear a couple laughs, I know who's awake and who's asleep. Then that's not good. Auditory versus visual learners. When you teach a lesson, how can you be more entertained? Is to engage them. And to engage them, one of my things, and I've said this to my students all the time, that in this classroom or in this room right now, 85% of us are visual learners. We have to see things visually to understand the concept. Like today in my pre-cal class, we're learning about conics, and in my BC class, and I tell my students, if you don't understand it, plot the points out. Because if you plot the points out, you can see it, so then you can come up with the equation. What about auditory? Now, this is an old-style boombox, okay? Sometimes I'll play a song. I might even sing the song. But for those who listen, it might connect to them. Most of us are visual learners. Yeah. Have fun looking at that one there. Okay? You're not asleep yet, are you? Okay. I'm telling you, if you present a lesson, put a visual in there. Why? It's because most of us see in pictures, not in words. Okay? And how can you be less boring from there? Because if you say just a bunch of words that come out of your mouth, you're going to put a good 85% of the class to sleep. You don't want that. And timing. And of course, timing is why I always carry a watch. If not, I have to fix my watch. I'll look at there. If the bell rings at 8:17 and I'm not done with my lesson, either A, I slow down and I say this is a stopping point, or B, I said okay, we'll just stop here and then we'll move on to the next lecture. Whatever I don't cover is not going to be on the test. Okay. When I engage with the student, and a student asks me a question, and I'm going to share some of my secrets right now teaching, if that's okay with you. if I ask you, if it's a topic that we covered, you realize I hardly ever give out the answer. Why? You know, that's an excuse they tell me. You're the teacher. We pay your salary. I say, you don't pay me enough. I don't give you the answer because actually, whether you know it or not, it digs a higher level of thinking. Because if you can figure out your own answer, you're more likely to retain it. Okay? My goal is not to necessarily teach you all the time and give you the answer. My goal is to help you find the answer. Okay? And if you can get that there, you're going to make this kid realize, the student realize, oh, okay, I get this now. They're more likely to retain that information. Okay. And then we talked about the last part. I want to conclude something here in terms of education real quickly. I attached this quote to my emails. And I want you to understand, on my journey here, growing up poor, growing up with not a lot of stuff, okay? And you can say, I lived in the hood, which I did. Not everything is always given to you. You always have to work where you to go for. And I want you to understand, especially to the first-year teachers who are out there, teaching is an art. You will not, you could get it the first year, but more than likely, like me, I didn't get it until about year 4. And I want you, those who are coming out as students, want to think about becoming a teacher. The disadvantage is the pay sucks, with all due respect. But I'll tell you this, I'll exchange it all in the world to make sure the student gets it. Thank you for your time.